Not enough is being made out of the fact that they knew about the tape and they knew it was on it.
Yeah.
Goodell, if he didn't know what was on that tape, he's a liar. I'm just saying it. He is lying. I think that dude is lying. If you put him up on a lie detector test, that guy would fail. And,
But
and
either
for
he's
all
lying
these people to
or
pretend they didn't know is such f***ing bullshit. It really is. It's such f***ing bullshit. And for him to go on that press conference and pretend otherwise, I was so insulted.
And I'm sure you could figure out what those beeps were in Bill Simmons' rant on his podcast on Monday. Joe Concha back, filling in for Steve Malzberg, the Steve Malzberg Show. And here we're going to talk about that Bill Simmons rant that led to a 3-week suspension for the popular ESPN writer and producer, by the way. Cindy Boren, sports writer and sports editor of the Washington Post, joins me. Cindy, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So we listened to what Bill had to say there. I should preface this by saying, and I was saying it to you while we were in commercial, Bill Simmons is my favorite writer, perhaps sports writer of all time. I think in terms of his generation, no one connects better with an audience. No one can work in pop culture references, and particularly Karate Kid references, than Bill Simmons. And 30 for 30 was his baby. He pitched that to Skipper up in ESPN, and it's just won award after award. So I'm not saying this as some sort of Bill Simmons hater. I actually, even though he's about my age, I idolize the guy. All of that said, we're talking about free speech here and the unusual relationship between ESPN and the NFL. Do you think Bill Simmons should have received a 3-week suspension for what he said on his podcast?
For the content of what he said about Commissioner Roger Goodell, I would not have suspended him for that. ESPN has a number of pundits from whom they don't really expect opinion, and they've expressed, that they think Roger Goodell should be fired or should be no longer in his job. For me, I think the issue came down to something else that he said on the podcast, which was when he said, I dare you, to his bosses. If you don't like what I'm saying, come after me. Fire me, suspend me, whatever.
Yep, and he even said, I'm naming names. If anybody actually calls me to task, then I'm naming names, and that's begging to be suspended, right?
Well, and and that's what it seems to me that there's no question that that ESPN and the NFL, the broadcast partners, neither organization is known for having thick skin or letting little slights pass. They pay attention to everything. However, I can't really imagine too many jobs where you can say that to your bosses and not get suspended. You know what I mean?
That's correct. And I wrote a story about this on Mediaite, my publication, and in the comments section, which I should not read because it's not good for my health. But the only issue that anybody ever brought up, Cindy, was that I don't understand why Bill Simmons gets 3-week suspension when Ray Rice only got 2 originally.
And there is that.
Yeah, well, but that said, he's calling out Goodell, and Goodell is a liar, and Simmons is my hero. And here's the thing about that argument that I really take issue with. It wasn't, as you said, because he was taking on Goodell, because Keith Olbermann does it every night on ESPN. And Hannah Storm did the same thing. Oh, yeah, big time. And the guy's a first take. And Tony Kornheiser.
Teddy Bruschi took him on. Teddy Bruschi said he should be fired.
Of course, yeah. Everybody has pretty much said that in line. So when people say, well, the ESPN's only trying to protect the NFL because they invest billions in the league. No, of course not. That's not it. It's because he took them on. And if you read a book, great. It's called Those Guys Have All the Fun, ESPN.
Right.
Were you able to read that?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So you know the deal. ESPN has always been bigger than its talent. And outside of maybe Chris Berman and maybe 1 or 2 other folks over there, everybody else is expendable, including, believe it or not, Bill Simmons, who gets 32 million downloads per podcast. And this is the 3rd time Bill's been suspended. And I would argue that 3 strikes and you're out. This may be the end of that relationship. Am I off base on that one?
No, I don't. And here's the thing. It may actually be, I think there are a couple of ulterior motives here with Simmons. One, he made the comment in an interview with Rolling Stone that, well, if ESPN isn't broadcasting NBA games or involved with the NBA, I'm out of there. Well, okay, is that what you're saying here? Is this kind of, if you want to go somewhere else, maybe you want to be let loose by ESPN. Another thing, in one of those really happy coincidences, his suspension ends October 15th, and a mere 6 days after that, he has a new show coming up on ESPN with Grantland. It's the Grantland NBA countdown show. He's moving from ESPN's countdown show to his own, with Grantland. So, you're kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of convenient. 3 weeks before his new show comes on, he's out, in all these SEO search terms, and that's kind of questionable to me. And the other thing about it is
we only got about 10 seconds, Cindy. I'm sorry. If you could just wrap it up.
The last thing I would mention is, people want games from ESPN. That's what matters. It's not what these guys say.
Well, that's exactly right, Cindy. And I appreciate your input. I'm sorry. I wish we had so much more time. This is my favorite topic of the week. Up next, and that's Cindy Boren of the Washington Post. Thanks, Cindy. Have a good weekend. Up next, columnist for the Daily Beast and political comedian Dean Aldala joins us on the Steve Malzberg Show.